Good morning again. So we'll get started, and if any others join, they will obviously be sent, as you will, a copy of today's presentation, which is an introduction to Ascarii and to SAP Business One. So I'll start sharing my screen. Excellent. So for those of you who don't know who Ascarii are, we are a gold partner of SAP for SAP Business One, which is the solution they've created for SME style businesses around the world. And it truly is a global product. It's available in multiple languages, multiple financial areas around the world, and it's proven. There's over 75,000 businesses now using the solution successfully to run their business. What is interesting is that it's not just SMEs who are investing in Business One. So whilst the likes of Coca-Cola's and their ilk are still buying the larger SAP solutions for their global businesses, they do actually see value in Business One too, in the fact that they're introducing that into new factories, new businesses, new warehouses, where it's seen that the bigger SAP solutions are, one, too expensive, and two, take too long to implement. So it's far more cost effective to put in, and its running costs are a lot lower than the big SAP solutions. But what it does share is a lot of the benefits that the bigger SAP solutions have as well. So in fact, the latest version that I'll show you today, in version 10, is actually now got the HANA 2.0 version of their own database in there, and I'll explain that a bit later. But that's what the bigger products are using too. So S/4HANA and that sort of ilk. So for the benefit of just an understanding of who Ascarii are, as well as being a gold partner of SAP Business One, we do have some other branches to the business as well. One of those is a business called Cloud for Partners. Now, that was only launched in April in 2018, but that's really taken on a lot of business, because that is our cloud offering on AWS that we are allowing other SAP Business One partners around the world to utilize to get their clients into the cloud. So when we started Ascarii in 2013, we were very much a case of that we were always going to be a cloud first thinking company, probably ahead of quite a lot of businesses. And in fact, when we started, a lot of businesses were still resistant to cloud, but the vast majority of our client base now are on our cloud. It's purpose built on AWS for Business One. So if Business One does turn out to be a solution you're interested in taking further, and you want to go cloud, there's no one better than ourselves. So there's about 850 SAP Business One partners around the world, and a growing number of those all over the globe are actually using our Cloud for Partners platform, because they don't have that expertise in cloud that we do. So that's who we are. But because we are experts in SAP Business One, we're also experts in AWS. So we have very well qualified people. And in fact, there's no juniors at Ascarii. Every single employee has a lot of technical background. So either in SAP Business One or AWS, or both. So what you get from ourselves is very much a one-stop shop for that solution working in the cloud. So, you know, we've talked about Cloud for Partners, but it really is important that you understand that we have designed this in a way that it's different from most people's cloud systems, and we actually share the load across multiple servers. So we have people who are users logging into presentation servers who are accessing the software on an application server, which then links to a different server, a database server, for the choice of database that you're running SAP Business One on. So what that does is allows us to use AWS Cloud Monitor to actually work out if you are needing any additional resource, and just making sure you're keeping within the constraints of what the design is for your system. It works well, and we have referenceability in that respect as well. Cloud is something that more and more people are demanding. We do have some customers who are still on-premise, or some that are a hybrid between on-premise and cloud. We can do all of those three options, but the demand for cloud is growing exponentially. As you can see from those statistics on screen, many enterprises that lead the way tend to lead the way with these newer technologies. The SME market is following in a very much a similar way. And one of the things that we're told and we understand from cloud is that it's very predictable, and you've also got flexible billing. So typically our contracts are normally over 3 years and they're billed quarterly in advance. But what you will also find is that you can upgrade licenses towards the end of your contract. You can downgrade. You've got more flexibility than just buying the software and paying an annual maintenance every year. And it also, when you are investing in it for the first time, it doesn't need to be a large capex investment, which is always appealing to most of our customers anyway. Now, one of the things we'll explain today as we go into the software shortly is that SAP Business One is available in 2 databases. So traditionally, when it was launched in 2003, it was always available and still is on a Microsoft SQL database, of which some of you, if not all of you, will know. What SAP did a few years ago, though, for the bigger products, is they released what I mentioned before, something called HANA, H-A-N-A. It just stands for high-end analytics, and it's an in-memory database. So the difference is that your data isn't stored on a hard drive, it's sat permanently in memory on the suitable server. So when you buy a HANA database, and it's pretty much the version that most people are going for nowadays, you have to plan really for at least the next 3 years, and it's available in 64 gig memory chunks. So if on this example you see you in 3 years' time will need towards 256 gigabytes of space, but currently only need 64, with an on-premise solution, you have to buy a server that's going to cater for you in the future. Whereas with the cloud, this is a great example, and it shows you growing each year. So you don't have to pay for resources that aren't needed as yet. That's proven very popular too. There's always a compelling total cost of ownership. And when you actually start comparing costs like for like, and you take into consideration all the hidden costs that a lot of people forget, people, the time it takes to do things, the downtime is always much higher on premise than it is against cloud. With Amazon Web Services, AWS actually provide an uptime of 99.9%. That's never something you can replicate on premise. So, you know, when you are on premise, I don't know if any of you experienced it, but we do know customers who've had downtime for 2, 3, and maybe more days than that when their systems haven't been operational. And when you start working out the cost of that actually hitting your business, it's quite scary. So having something in the cloud that's constantly monitored and is as reliable as AWS, the best-selling cloud platform in the world, you really have got a match made in heaven for ensuring that your business is operational when you need it to be. We touched on this before, but it is very flexible and scalable, and it's not just when you buy into the solution, it's something that you can actually change as you go. So as well as the initial build, we can add or reduce resource from a cloud platform as and when you need to. We can amend the specifications of each of the types of servers I mentioned before. And as I say, with AWS CloudWatch, ongoing monitoring and support is part of our service at Ascarii, and you would actually have a system that we will ensure is operational, so you can concentrate on more important business issues in your business. It's certainly not taking away from an IT team if you have one. It just allows you to concentrate on the things that are more important internally, knowing that your key business system is going to be operational. We do provide a complete design and build service, so we don't just do a one-size-fits-all. We will always, as part of our solution, and the part of the way we build our solutions for you, from a cloud perspective and from an SAP Business One perspective, is we will blueprint your requirements in detail. But what we're very good at is actually helping build a cloud platform that's going to be suitable for the requirements that are uncovered in your blueprint. So it is a complete design and build service. You have the choice of either having a dedicated service unit, which is for yourselves and you alone as a business, which allows you to integrate to any other number of systems out there, or alternatively, you can actually get onto the cloud very, very cost effectively and quite cheaply by using our multi-tenants shared platform and service unit. Now, whilst you're sharing the servers with other businesses, you have a very tied down and secure lockdown area for your data. So your data is always secure, it's guaranteed under AWS. We touched on security there, but AWS has the highest level of security governments, military agents, banks, all of those sort of organizations are using AWS to run their businesses. It's as secure as you're going to get. You can't even visit their data centers. It's not possible. And so they're very well protected and guarded. You will be reassured by having that T4 level of security. It's also, because it's AWS and it's global, it's fully compliant with all the regulations around the world. So if you are a global business or you are looking to actually open up offices anywhere else in the world, you're not worrying about compliance. It is compliant. It has everything there. So if you opened a factory in China tomorrow, it would understand. One SAP understands all the currencies and financial regulations needed for around the world. AWS understands all the security aspects around the cloud as well. So again, you're future-proofing your growth. And then finally, from a PowerPoint point of view, before we go into the software, from a perspective of where we sit currently with both Ascarii and our Cloud for Partners platform and AWS, the golden countries are the businesses or the areas we're already in, and this is growing exponentially. So we're already, well, you tend to find that from South Africa, that covers most of Africa. We're already dealing with partners over there. We've already got data centers in the States, UK, Ireland, Frankfurt, and we're going to be opening up, as you can see, in India in the future. So the way that AWS works is no matter where your users are, that it will always allow them to log in to the most local AWS data center to make sure that speeds are kept to the highest level possible. So that's Ascarii and our Cloud for Partners and AWS platform. Now we're looking at SAP Business One, just as a snapshot. So today I'm going to give you an overview of the functionality that's capable within SAP Business One, and this is the latest version, which is version 10, but also talk about the art of the possible and what else you can do. What else can work with SAP Business One? So let's look at SAP Business One as a whole to start with. So when I've logged in, as you can see, I'm logged into a demonstration company called OEC Computers. I'm logged on as myself. I'm a super user in the system, so I have access to everything. But one thing I will stress straight away is that you are able to cut down what people can see, what people can do, and you can also force them to work in certain workflows as well. There's also full authorizations and approvals throughout the whole system. So you really can take control of your working processes per person or per department in your business. So this is an example of a screen when I log in. So currently I've got, these are all called widgets in SAP's terms. So currently I've got a number of these switched on. So my recent update shows what I've been doing recently. My common functions are what I use on a frequent basis without having to go into the hamburger here and open it up and go into the full menu. So as you can see, there's a lot in there. I'll come back to the menu in a little while. And also messages and alerts. So if someone's sending me an internal message or an alert comes up that's been set up, so it could be anything at all you want to actually have configured, or it could be an approval, which can also be sent to someone's mobile. So do you approve this purchase, for example? That can go to a manager's mobile phone. They can say yes or no, and that would go back to the person making the request in the first place. And if it's approved, it goes through and gets ordered. If it isn't, a reason can be put in, and they can change things and resubmit if they wish to do so. So those three there are pretty standardly used by most of our customers. The rest is configured to how you want to use the system. So as you can see, I've got some on here which are visual, which are counters. So you can see here that stock value is in red because it's gone up in value by 2.19 million. Likewise, our customers are not paying us. Although sales are up and gross profit is up, that's not much use if we're not being paid and we're holding too much stock. So these are the sort of visual stimuli that we can use to either individuals or groups in departments so they can see how things are performing for themselves or as a company as a whole. And as well as these sort of counters, what we also have are things like graphs, which we can drill into. We can look at a variety of things. We also have processes. So one of the things I always get told when people take on a new system, doesn't matter what system it is that the take-up by users is always limited by their understanding of how to find what they need to get to. So if I'm someone working in sales order processing, for example, I can create quotes from here. I can create orders. I've got little drop-down menus, which actually shows things relating to how to create a sales order, including stock status, and through to deliveries and invoicing. So it's a nice logical step for anyone involved in the sales process. There's also one for the financial process. So if you're working in the finance team, you can create journals, you can create invoices, you can do period end closing, you can look at reports, you can go into the chart of accounts. It's really configured the way you want it to be. And that also works for stock control management, including, and I will stress this, Business One itself was always set up, even from its early days, to be really good at one, financials, but two, stock. Those are the two core things I think that were always going to be really, really good, and everything has grown around that. So it understands out of the box multiple warehouses. It understands bills of materials. It understands units of measure, locations, serial tracking, batch control, all of the nice things that people want. It's already standard in SAP Business One. So the stock management is there. There's also one for purchasing, which is very similar to sales, but obviously the other way around for purchasing. So these are great ways of actually getting people in those types of department to actually get using the system without having to go into the menu, find what they're looking for, and then get on with it. Conversely, as I say, if you've got someone in purchasing, they will set up in their common functions all the things they do on a regular basis. So there's always shortcuts and ways of getting around how to use the system. Changing this is really easy. So if I click on the pencil here, I can actually say, right, well, I actually want to move some of these things around because some of these things are more important to me. But conversely, I also want to take some things out or put new things in. So if I click on the plus, there's around 50 widgets that come standard with SAP Business One. So as you can see, there's a lot of choice in here, including more display screens that we can switch on. And what you can do, and we will help you at Ascarii, is teach you how to create your own widgets. So you don't have to just use the ones that are in the system as a standard. You can by all means, but you can also create your own. And once you're happy with what you've done, if you come out of it and click tick and update my cockpit, it's now moved those around, and any new ones I've added would be added onto the screen. That's how easy it is to actually configure this initial splash screen to be for an individual or for a department. Very simple. What we also can do is within the system is there is some additional functionality which is unique to HANA as opposed to SQL, the two databases I mentioned earlier. So one of these things is the executive search. There is a search facility in SQL, but it's not as quick as the HANA version because you have to spool a hard drive to go and search for the data. If I was looking for something to do with bill in the core system and click search, imagine what this is. This is like a Google search of your entire database. So it only takes a few seconds the first time you use it, but every other subsequent search is really quick. But straight away for Bill, it's found that Bill is in the master data 3 times. He's in something called business partner. Now in SAP Business One terms, a business partner can be either a customer, a supplier, or a lead that can be converted to a customer. They're all in one box. So your CRM element of the system can actually then allow you to manipulate that data. I'll show you that in a little while. But in this instance, in all of the demonstration data, Bill has been found in business partner. He's been found in the chart of accounts, probably under salaries. He's been found under the employee master data, and everywhere where Bill has been involved in a transaction. So as you can see, under credit memos, there's 4, but there's actually sales invoices. He's in 130. And so on, deliveries and that sort of thing. And when you hover over any one of them, you can actually see the detail beneath it. So it's really good when dealing with customers on the phone. You can actually, if Bill was a customer, you could type Bill in, and it actually would come up with every transaction ever you've done with that contact in any form. So it could be a quote, it could be an order, it could be a refund, it could be a delivery, absolutely anything. It's really quick and easy to get that information. And just to give you an idea, you can even search for things like the number 1. Number one, it's going to be in the database so often, but it's going to find for me every single example of where the number one is in the system. So you can see that it's in analytic content, which I'll show you later, 86 times. It's on a dashboard 6 times. It's in a report 80 times. As you see in AR transactions, it's in there 5,280 times, and so on. It's very quick and easy to find data that you're looking for without having to go into that specific module or area of SAP Business One. I know this is popular amongst your peers. So that's the enterprise search. What we also have are things like cash flow forecasting. So if you've got a finance department, they're probably doing cash flow forecasting in Excel. Nearly everybody does. But what you can do with this, depending on the data you've got behind the scenes, is you can change the date periods. It will change the graph and the amounts accordingly, depending on what data you've got in there. You can see which documents it's linked to. And I will stress throughout the whole of SAP Business One, anything with a golden arrow is just an ability to click on it and drill down into those documents. So if I click onto that again, it will bring up that invoice. So there's the invoice itself, and then I can even drill down into individual elements of that invoice. So very, very simple, but the idea of being able to drill into data is absolutely centrally part of Business One. So with regards to cash flow forecasting though, you can actually set up the config of this. So you can say what measurements you want to look at, what criteria. You can set certainty levels, and all that is on certainty levels is saying, well, from a cash point of view, these are my certainty level number ones, these are my certainty level 7s, but I can move any of these to another level. I can save that, and assuming the data was there, it would change your graph accordingly. We do realize though, we're never going to take Excel out of the finance department, so you can still export to Excel. And I will say with version 10, as you've got here, there is full Microsoft 365, formerly known as Office 365 integration. So if you're using Office 365 or Microsoft 365 as it is now, it's fully integrated with Excel and Word. So you're laughing there. So cash flow forecasting is in the HANA version. What we also have is something called Pervasive Analytics. Now, what this is a very grandiose title for is the ability to create KPIs, create your own dashboards, or create advanced dashboards. So instead of taking you through how to do that, I'm going to show you some examples as we go through the presentation today. But I will stress, this is something we teach you how to use, and our customers are using this to create their own on the fly. They don't have to rely on Ascarii and paying us to do it, unless you really want us to. That's your choice. So Pervasive Analytics is really useful. There are some other things not switched on at the moment, things like available to promise check, delivery schedule management, but cash flow forecasting and Pervasive Analytics are. I will show you the web client a little later, but let's have a deeper look at the core system. So if I click on the menu structure, what we have in here are all of the modules that are listed here at the top as well. So within Business One, administration is typically only viewed by people like myself as a super user or someone who's head of the system, such as an IT director or manager. You can choose company, and when it says choose company, I will stress Business One out of the box is multi-currency, it is multi-company, and as I said before, it works, I think it's currently in about 45 or 46 different geographic regions from a financial regulations point of view. It's a truly global product. So with regards to other things in here, financials, it is a rock solid set of chart of accounts which you can manipulate to be the format you want them to be. But from a financials element, it's really, really strong. It's ICAEW approved, so the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales approve SAP Business One for financials. It's there's nothing better really. It's got everything you would need in there. There is a CRM engine here, which will link to the business partner master data I touched on before. We'll show you that in a little while. Opportunities been created, so your sales team can monitor sales opportunities all the way through the pipeline. Sales department, lots of things in there, including things like sales blanket agreements, which is also replicated in purchasing with purchase blanket agreements. So if you have suppliers or customers who say they're going to supply or buy 100 of the products that you sell in a year, and they call them off as they want to in the year, that's the sort of agreement that can be put in place there. But everything to do with sales and purchasing that you would ever need is in there. Customers and suppliers, again, relating to purchasing, the partner master data I talked about. Banking, we can link to your banks. In stock control, as I say, is very strong. We'll have a look at that. There's resources, so you can set up various resources. Now, they can be either people or machines if you're producing or putting something together as a kit. There is a production module, so you can set up your bills of materials or your recipes. You can create production orders. You can receipt and issue to production. You can actually calculate your costs. And from there, I would suggest that production in SAP Business One is production light, which actually fits a lot of SMEs' requirements because it's better than what they've already got. But if you want to go to the next level, we also partner with some key partners within the SAP Business One environment. We only deal with the ones that work globally and are supported by other partners, and that protects you as a customer. So we don't use it as a way of making you sticky as a customer. The only way we hope to keep you as a customer is, one, working with you in an honest fashion, and two, doing a good job. If we don't do that, we don't deserve you as customers. But we don't supply bespoke solutions that only we provide, which means that you have to stick with us even if you fell out with us. That's not our style at Ascarii. So the approved partners that we always work with, we have a company called Boyum, who sprang up from ex-employees from SAP, and they have a number of solutions and things like the B1 usability package. Again, I'll talk about that later. Print and delivery, where you can print and deliver documents in various styles in different ways for different customers and suppliers out of the box in an easier fashion. But they also have full-blown warehouse management system opportunities and systems. They also have full-blown manufacturing. So if you want MRP to various routes, all the different things that a larger manufacturing business would want, we have a solution called BAYAS from Boyum, which plugs into Business One and provides absolutely everything you'd ever need from a manufacturing perspective. They also have, this year, they've launched Boyum Cloud, which in 2020, the roadmap for that is for manufacturers. So it actually extends the functionality in Business One and allows you to control various aspects of different types, whether it be production planning, whether it be quality control, whether it be building products and bills of materials. They have those solutions that work with Business One too. As well as Boyum, that we have iDocuments, which does AP invoice scanning with a line OCR capability. Not just header level, it's line level. It's really powerful. But it can also read sales orders that are sent to you via email to an inbox and populate those directly into SAP Business One. You don't need to have employees sat there just mundanely typing in data for a sales order, for example. And that's brilliant because they can do something more constructive. And taking humans out of it, you get less errors because computers, once they're set up correctly, work. People have bad days as well as good days. So it's actually reducing the risk of getting data input wrong. So those are sort of partners that we deal with. We also have EDI solutions. We also have, well, a variety of things around. Sharperlight is a really good Excel reporting tool for the accounts department. There's a wealth of things that plug into SAP Business One and enhance the solution no end. So you're not just limiting yourself to this is what you get and that's what you're going to use. There is a service element in here. There are more advanced service elements that plug into B1 as well. But in here, you can set up equipment cards, service contracts. You can create a knowledge base. So if you're getting the same support calls all the time, your support staff can actually go to that knowledge base and actually publish that to your customers as well. There is an HR module in here, nice and simple. It's a way of recording information about your employees, and you can add to this. And there's a wealth of there's project management, and there's a wealth of reports in here for each of those modules, which we'll talk about in a little more depth now. But if I go into, I think I'll start with where the customers and suppliers. Let's start with a business partner master data record to give you an idea of how the look and feel of what it can do. And I'll just load one in, and this is context sensitive, this menu at the top. So if I click next, it shows the next one. This is actually a British customer. You can see who it is. You can see what group we put them in. We can see their account balance, their deliveries, their orders, and here's the golden arrow again. If I click on deliveries, it's going to show me what deliveries are due. It's going to show me any orders that we've got outstanding or have received, and likewise. What we also have is a numerous amount of tabs across here. So in here, we've got general information. We've got the contact people. In fact, let's choose someone with some data in it for you. As you can see, there we are. So MaxiTech, we've got their general contact details, the main contact person, but you can have, yes, I know it's working, thank you. Give me the contact people. That's someone set up something in Boy and B1 up so to come up with that, so I'll go to someone else. Okay, contact people will give me a list of the people, and there can be multiple people in an organization. So quite often you'll be dealing with branches or multiple companies within a group. You can have them all in here. You can have your addresses, so you can have a bill to address and main ship to. Payment terms, relevant. You can actually set people up into payment groups or have individual payment terms per customer. It's entirely your choice. And you can see you can record various information. Payment runs linking to your banks. The accounting tab shows which ledgers we're dealing with in the nominal accounts. Properties and remarks. Within properties, there's up to 64 things you can set up, which you can start ticking against and recording against a customer or supplier. That's really useful from a marketing perspective, because then you can pull out that relevant information if you were doing a MailChimp mail shot or some other marketing tool that you're using. It's just a very good way of recording that information, so you can actually pull out the right people at the right time. Remarks is just that. You can type in absolutely anything you like here, anything you go, and it will save it. But you can also put in attachments and link whatever is going to be in there. Some people use this for putting drawings or statements or anything, anything you want to record, a quote, you can link it to their record in SAP Business One. So that's an example of a business partner master data record. This is a British customer called Parameter Technology. What we can also do, you can see down here, we have you can also. And I'm getting annoyed by that now, so we'll move on. What you can also do is you can view related service calls, activities, opportunities, transactions, agreements, contracts, or you can create an activity to give them a call in a week's time or send a quote in a month's time or whatever you want it to be. And what you can also do is actually view something called the Customer 360. Now, this is linking to the Pervasive Analytics that I showed to you earlier, but this time it's one that's pre-built and it's a Customer 360 for Parameter Technology. So you can see here that total sales is going well, it's up and it's in green, so it's 1.84 million. We've made £200,000 profit. We've got 2 service calls with them, and so on. So that's the general tab. We can also create further tabs. So this one is a sales tab. We've got an order fulfillment tab, and we've got a receivables tab. So in this case, again, they're not paying. That's demonstration data for you. And you can change the style of what you're viewing. This is just a great way of showing an overall view linking to that pervasive analytics that I was talking to you before. And that's a way of maybe your salespeople who've got certain accounts they're looking after. They can have one of those for each of their accounts and always know where things stand. In the past, or it does happen quite often, I see that many people are not able, from a sales perspective, to see anything other than what they quote for and what they sell, and sometimes not even what's in stock and what's available. We can do that in Business One. Conversely, we can also see if they're paying their bills. So if a salesperson's got that stimulus to actually discuss that with the customer, they can act as credit control people for you and help get payments to you earlier. Great way of making the system. That's a good example of how Business One as a rounded all-in-one solution can work for you as a business. So that's the business partner master data. I'm going to create a quote. So I'll come out of this. I'll go into sales. Now what I'm going to do is create a quote for any particular customer. Now at the moment you can see I've got user defined fields switched on. With the Boyum B1 usability pack, any of these user defined fields we have set up here, we can move to the main screen. But just for real estate, I'm just going to close UDFs down for now. I'm going to choose a customer. So in here, I choose who I want to do. So I'm going to say microchips. It automatically brings their details through. As it's a quote, it's already populated the dates and when it's valid to, as set per the rules that we've configured for this system. And in here, I'm going to say what I'm going to sell. So I'm going to sell some standard stuff, a keyboard, comfort, rest. I'm going to sell 10 of them, or quote for 10. It automatically brings the price group that this customer is in for that product. Again, that can be different for every single customer you have. They can be in a group, or they can have individual pricing. It's entirely your choice. And in here, it knows who the salesperson is relevant to this client. If I add that as a quote, that's saved as a quote. But what I can also do very easily is you can see, oh, I'll tell you what, we're happy with that. Just order it. So instead of having to type it all again, I can convert it to an order straight away. I can say the delivery date if we know it's in stock, and we will have checked. You can see this is based on sales quotations 1259. There's a link there. If I put in today's date, there is a shortcut with T. In it goes, and I add that. Now I'm deliberately leaving these windows open. From there, I can then say, right, that goes straight down to delivery to the warehouse. We're going to deliver this item. I'll add that and click yes. And then finally, it's sent. You've got return request and return if that ever happens, but you've also got the ability to create the invoice. So in here, you can see it's all linked from the quotation through to the sales order, through to the delivery note, through to the invoice. And if I add that, that invoice is now on there as well. Now, any of these fields that are filled in or not filled in, the customer reference number isn't filled in. With the B1 usability package, we can configure it that you cannot process an order or a delivery note or an invoice without a customer reference number. And you force the user to have to put one in. That's a great way of actually making sure it's linked. And again, it's something you can report on. But what I will do on here, if I right click on this screen now and go down to relationship map, this is what I've just done. I created a sales quotation, it went to a sales order, it went to a delivery, and it's gone to an invoice, which is still open. The padlock is still open because we haven't been paid yet. Great way of visually seeing your transactions. This can get a lot more complicated should you have multiple quotes which lead to multiple orders, which lead to multiple deliveries and multiple invoices. So you can actually look at all of those, and you can click on any one of these and drill down, and it brings up that particular document. Great way of actually doing that. I know that's really popular amongst your peers. So that's how quickly it is to set a quote and go through all the process. What we also have in here as well is purchasing's pretty much the same. CRM is all about keeping your business partner master data, activities, your campaigns, your opportunities, your quotes and orders and 360s all in one place. Great for salespeople. You can have them separately as well. Banking, financials itself, if I go into the chart of accounts, this is an example chart of accounts that we've got in our demo system. As you can see, you've got filing cabinets, which changes. The values and the names are entirely your choice. This is just the standard that comes with Business One. But you can create, or we can help you create whatever you like. Some people go with the standard, other people want to replicate or at least tweak what they've got already. It's a good time when you implement Business One to actually change your chart of accounts so you're future-proofing yourself again. The amount of times we meet with people who are using things in their existing chart of accounts that were never designed to work that way, and it does make for headaches as you expand and grow. You run out of room. So it's a good way of making sure you don't. But as you can see, there's a couple of additional filing cabinets we've got down here that we've just created on the fly with nothing in, which just shows you can add to the chart of accounts that comes with Business One. So from a financials point of view, it can deal with fixed assets, it can deal with depreciation, you can deal with absolutely anything around vouchers, journals, you've got your ability to reverse transactions, your exchange rates, depending on how often you want to update exchange rates. If you're dealing with different currencies, many of our customers only update it once a month, so it's not an issue. Others update it every transaction that they put in. So every time they sell something, they want the latest rate difference to be shown and calculated in the calculation of the cost. So, you know, we can also link to the internet and actually pick up latest daily or up to minute exchange rates as and when you go. So all of this is normal cost accounting. There's a full range of financial reports in the system. So you've got your accounting reports, as you'd expect. You've got your financial reports and comparison reports. There's your balance sheet, trial balance, profit and loss. All the things that your accounting department will expect to have, you will have in spades with Business One. It's very, very good at this. So financials are covered. From a stock control point of view, when I go into inventory, if I go into the item master data record, you can see that this is designed to look and feel in a similar way to what you saw before in sales or in purchasing. So if I look at a stock record in here, you can see this is an office printer. We can see what groups and items we've got them in. We can say whether we record serial or batch numbers. We've got the purchasing data. You've always got a preferred supplier, but you can have multiple suppliers that you can buy from. You can also see in here in the top right, this is a stock item that we sell and we buy. If it was something we made from other components, it could be a stock item that we sell, but we don't buy, and so on. And so in here, we can record any sort of measurements, whether it be lengths or any factors, whatever you want to record for the product. The sales data, so which VAT rate's relevant, which unit of measure name is going to be used. The stock data, so I touched on it before, but the system itself can hold any number of warehouses against your business, and they can be real or virtual. So some people set up a virtual warehouse in where they actually use it for quality control. Even. So while stock is in the quality bay or area of the warehouse, salespeople can't view it and sell it, for example. Those are the sort of rules we can do. And as you can see here, you can see for this printer, you can see how many we've got in stock, how many are committed, what's ordered, what's available. And if you scroll across, there's more information as well, what the item costs are and so on. Planning data. Now, within Business One, there is something called an MRP engine, Materials Resource Planning. It's MRP 1, so for any manufacturers out there that need MRP 2, we can talk about that. We need an add-on. But MRP 1 just looks at a resource and allows you to say, right, well, how many have we got on order? How many have we got in stock? How many are actually allocated? And how many do we need? What's the demand over the next period of time? And you set the start and end date, and it's a big calculator that will crunch those numbers for you, so you don't have to work it out yourself. And it will make recommendations and will actually say, well, if you're going to sell what you're forecasting to sell and coupled with what you've already got orders for in the next 3 months, you may need to buy another 100 one of these to fulfill the orders in that period. It might tell you you don't need any at all. And then it's your choice as a business and that manager of that process to actually say, well, I don't agree with that, and I'm still going to order some, or I'm not going to order what it's recommending because I know that was a freak last year and we're not going to do that again. So you've still got the control there, but it takes the number crunching away. Production data is just that. You can say whether an item is backflushed or is manual. Backflush is that if you are creating any kits or some products which with a bill of materials or a recipe, once you've created the item, it will know how much of what you use and it will backflush and downgrade the stock elements accordingly. That's what backflush means in this instance. Properties and remarks we touched on before. That's consistent through the system, as is attachments. So that's the stock control element. Within stock control, you can set up your bin locations, your item management, your stock transactions, your different price lists. Your pick and pack is where your warehouse would actually start packing items unless you had a WMS system that plugs into Business One. And you've got your wealth of reports as well. So stock status, you can look at FIFO, you can, other than LIFO, which was made illegal a few years ago, you've got various measurements that you can use there, so you can average weighting, FIFO, that sort of thing. You can choose the serial number, transactions, and batch numbers. If you are dealing with serial tracking, if you try to do something in the system without choosing the right serial number and then using it all the way through the process that you're using it in Business One, the system will stop you. But what this will allow you, if you're into food or pharmaceuticals or anything that's recording and needs to actually be traceable, this is where batch control and serial tracking comes into its own. So that's all in there as standard. What we also have, as I mentioned before, is resource. So on resource master data, if I make this a bigger screen for you and take you through some examples, this is a quality control officer. There, it shouldn't be machine, it should be labor. You can say what the resource units are and so on. But if I take you through each one, some of these won't be people. All the way through, you've got machines as well. And you can build up costs in here. You can show your overhead, your labor, your setup costs. You could have downtime planned and that sort of thing. And you can put in your capacity for each of those warehouses or machines. And then planning of what your shifts are. If you don't run 24-hour shifts, you just have 8 hours, that sort of thing. Fixed assets, if you're going to use it, if it's a machine, you've got it as a fixed asset and it will start calculating your depreciation depending on the rules you've set from a financial angle. Properties, attachments, and remarks as before. So you'll be able to build up all of that within Business One, and that then links to production where you've got your bills of materials. You can, from bills of materials, once you've got them set up. So in here you've got betting terminal. There's one with ingredients. So if we're dealing with cakes or any type of food product or anything in that respect that needs ingredients, we can change the terminology. You can even change bill of materials up here to say recipe. We can help configure the solution in the way that works best with your business. And in here you can see you've got a variety of mix of what's used and the costs with it as a bill of materials, which can then create a production order. You can then link to procurement if you need to buy things to fulfill that order. You can issue to production. It really is, as I say, production light, but it's considerably better than working from Excel and paper like a lot of manufacturers still do. So there's a big difference there. We touched on MRP before, but MRP itself, you have an MRP wizard and you just take it through each stage at a time. There we are, and you just click next and you set the criteria that you're looking for. So next. And then you can set in planning horizons and so on, and then click run, and it will run that MRP wizard for you. And as I said before, it's a big calculator. It will spit out some numbers at the end of which you either agree to go along with or you disagree, and you can manipulate and then create what you need from there. So that's production linked with resources and MRP. From a service point of view, now in here you can set up various service calls. So if you do work with service engineers, for example, who've got their own vans, many customers will actually set their vans up as stock locations, as mini warehouses. So as and when they use stock, they can downgrade that stock and that can be updated into Business One. There is also an app for both salespeople and service engineers, which can actually link to Business One. So we can set the rules up that if they've used so many of their widgets on their van, that will immediately set up a requirement to post to their home address, for example, if they don't go to an office often, everything that's needed to replace that used stock on that van. You can set up service contracts. So if you are dealing with a solution, whether it be software, whether it be a package solution that you deal with your customers, that you have a service contract, you can set all the criteria in there. So you can set who it is, when it started, when it ends, when it needs to be renewed, general items, coverage, and so on. You can create, and you can create fields that work for you that aren't in there as standard too. So you can set up your own service contracts. We touched on this before, but your solutions knowledge base is how to answer the same questions we keep getting again and again from our customers. Great way of making sure that anyone new to the business can still proactively help a customer by utilizing that knowledge base. So services covered in there. HR, as I mentioned, there is an employee master data record available. if I go into next, you can see that we've got different information on different people in the system. It's not a lot of people information in there about this, but you can say memberships, administration, when they started, what their current status is, whether they've left. You can record whatever you want to record about people, and it's great because most companies still don't have an HR solution. So it's a good step forward, especially when you use B1 Up to actually create fields that are unique to you, relevant to the employee master data records. But as well as that, we've got the ability to record timesheets if that's what you wish to do, which also links to project management. So if I go into projects and show you some example ones in here, they can be either external or internal. So in this one, this is an external project for Maxitech. It's setting up a new server, when it starts, what open activities have it had, how complete we are, the budgets, the profit values, and the works order costs, the stages we're working to, and the overview. So, you know, if we look for an internal one, it can also be used internally for you for things like an office relocation or a complete refit of your boardroom or whatever you want it to be. So projects is in there too. You can use it, but it also links to timesheets recorded for your employees in those projects. So those actual costs, if you've got an actual cost hourly rate for your employees, that will go as a cost against the project. So you're getting more accurate figures. So that's a whirlwind tour of the core system in SAP Business One. One of the new features in the latest version is that you also now have a web client. So instead of actually currently logging into what is either installed on your own servers or installed on our cloud platform, people can now log in via the web client. So in here, I just need to choose which company I'm working with. So in this case, I'm using the same database as I was in the core product. I'm logging in as myself. I click login, and now we have the web client view, which I think is a lot nicer to look at than the core system. Now, this is currently set up for sales. This the next side of things will be purchasing and stock control and financial. So ultimately, the whole system is moving towards the ability for everybody to just go onto a browser and log in directly from the browser. So in here, if I click on deliveries, you can see there's two. It will click on there and it brings up those two deliveries. If you click on that customer code, it brings up the business partner information. If you click on the golden arrow, same thing. You can also view more, and it opens up another window, and it should bring up more information on that business partner, which it does. So there you go. What we also have in here are a whole range of analytics. So if I look at an overview, you can see instantly how we're performing, how we're doing on sales, by profit, by quarter, the top 20 sales items, and so on. These are created by you, of which there's a variety of styles. So as you can see, there's the swimming pool looker, as I say, with different shades to show different values. Pie charts, graphs, charts, the whole lot is available to you. But if I go back to my home, you can also see it's linked directly and dynamically to SAP. So we're demonstrating the roadmap to SAP Business One here. So you're always clued up on what's coming next. There's an inbuilt user guide, which you can view on screen. You can influence SAP and its development of SAP Business One, because there's actually 3,000 people globally. Their whole job is to develop SAP Business One and continue to make it better. And as a customer, you're actively invited to actually make suggestions of what you'd like to see in the system in the future. That's what that is. But as you can see down here, clicking on any of these, if I click on this here, it brings up the same reports before, so you don't have to go through to the menu. It's nice and simple to click on. There's unlimited amount of buttons you can set up. As you can see, we've got lots of things set up with the Boyum configuration tool down here. But this is something that is now officially released. It's gone through all its testing phase. We're on patch level 2 now. It's stable, it works well. And it's one of the differences you'll find with SAP being a German company, is they're much more cautious on releasing a live version of their software than many of the competitive products that are American. American companies such as Microsoft, I would add, are very keen on actually releasing products early and letting us test it and tell them what's wrong. The Germans have a slightly different mentality. They like to test a lot more before they release the products. And what I will say with regards to SAP Business One, I touched on it before, is that this links and works with the other SAP products. So if you are a bigger organization, either using big SAP but don't want to put big SAP into every aspect of your business, or conversely, you're an SME who works with a supplier or a customer who use big SAP, we can link your two systems together, help you set up the rules of what data flows and what could be seen and what can't be seen, and you can automate a lot more. So you can bring a lot of workflow and automation into your processes, but still keep in control. That's the key thing. Keeping control of your business, but keeping your customers and suppliers happier is always a good thing. And that's something that most of our customers, if not all of them, are always keen to do. So that's the web client view. This is only going to get better. So as I say, it's to deal with sales, to deal with business partners, analytics as a whole, the add-ons. As I say, we've got B1 up in there. We've got the useful links that we touched on before here, and user-defined tables, because we can help you create user-defined tables, user-defined fields. There's a lot of flexibility in the core solution, which really does make your version of SAP Business One configured potentially in a completely different way to the next user of SAP Business One in another company. What it doesn't mean, though, is that we're bespoking the product. We step away from bespoking. We do not like to bespoke anything. We like to configure things in the recognized tools, because those tools, like B1 Up from Boyum, and like all their other solutions, are configured in the same platform as SAP Business One. So as a new version of SAP Business One comes out and is released to you, the new version of the add-ons upgrades with SAP Business One. So these days of, yes, we can code anything you like, and when it comes to an upgrade, oh, by the way, it's going to take another 30 days to configure everything we've done for you in the past to make it work again. That doesn't happen with us. We don't do that. That's not what Ascarii are about. It's only configuration. It's not bespoking. So that's the end of my presentation today. That's a general introduction. I'm going to make everyone try to unmute everybody, and for that reason, any questions you have, by all means, please do ask them now. No, I take that as a no. Well, in that case, thank you very much for your time. A recording of this session will be forwarded to you, and if you have any questions from that in a more one-to-one basis after this event, let's talk and see if we can find something we can help you with. Thanks very much for attending. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.